Christian Bale. Let's start with a phenomenon that has become synonymous with acting self-torture. The king of physical sacrifice, Christian Bale. His transformation for the 2004 film The Machinist has become a textbook example of cinema. For the role of Trevor Resnick, a paranoid insomniac, Bale lost almost 30 kilograms. He reached a critical weight of 55 kilograms at a height of 183 centimeters. The director even had to literally take food from him, fearing for his life. The diets he followed were monstrous. For months, he lived on just an apple, a can of tuna, and black coffee a day. On screen, we see not an actor, but a living anatomical model, whose body is nothing but skin and bones. His goal wasn't just to look emaciated, he wanted to feel his character's total physical and mental exhaustion, which completely changed his gait, his voice, and his demeanor, making him angular and strange. After that, even Hollywood began to fear his methods, because he proved that nothing was impossible for a role. Matthew McConaughey. Next in this category is an actor whose sacrifice led to a complete career overhaul. Matthew McConaughey. Until 2013, we knew him as Hollywood's leading romantic hero, with his unfailing, dazzling smile. But his role as AIDS patient Ron Woodroof in Dallas Buyers Club was a truly shocking watershed. McConaughey, who always prided himself on his physical fitness, lost 21 kilograms, leaving his body frail and vulnerable. He literally lived on a diet of fish and tapioca. This film marked the beginning of an era that critics dubbed McConaissance, his rebirth as a serious dramatic actor. On screen, his skin, his deep-set eyes, his unsteady movements, everything screamed of pain, a desperate struggle for life, and the search for human dignity in a hopeless situation. He completely abandoned his previous image, displaying stunning depth and dramatic talent. He proved he could be more than just a smile from a perfume commercial, and with this self-denial, he earned his first Oscar. Charlize Theron. One transformation that forever changed the perception of women in film was Charlize Theron's performance in the 2003 film Monster. Theron, known for her perfect model-like looks, completely disappeared to portray serial killer Aileen Wuornos. It wasn't just a cosmetic change. She gained weight, wore prosthetics, makeup, and false teeth, changed her hairstyle, and, most importantly, completely altered her gait, facial expressions, and manner of speech, making them rough, tired, and embittered. This transformation was aimed at appearing real and broken, without a trace of glamour. Audiences were shocked by how boldly and uncompromisingly the actress abandoned her beauty for the role. It was a profound psychological insight into the very essence of human despair, rage, and trauma. This wasn't a beauty from an advertisement, this was a beast with a heart, and this role became one of the most daring in history, deservedly bringing her the main Academy Award. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks in the 2000 film Castaway depicted a survival chronology unfolding over time. To realistically depict the gradual deterioration of Chuck Nolan's character, production was halted for an entire year. First, they filmed scenes before the disaster and the first months of survival, and then, 12 months later, director Robert Zemeckis returned to film the Island period, during which Hanks grew his hair and beard and lost critical body mass to appear naturally feral. This self-imposed, year-long hiatus is unprecedented in expensive Hollywood cinema, allowing viewers to completely believe in the reality of his loneliness and struggle. Hanks not only transformed his body, but also adopted the mannerisms of a man who has forgotten how to speak. When even the ball becomes the only living partner on stage, and the audience believes it, this is the pinnacle of acting skill and dedication, achieved at the cost of a year-long break in one's career. Joaquin Phoenix, a role that is unforgettable and has gone down in history as one of the most subtle and painful descents into madness, is Joaquin Phoenix in the 2019 film Joker. Phoenix, like Bale, underwent extreme weight loss to convey not only the physical, but also the mental fragility of Arthur Fleck. He lost weight to feel constant pain and hunger, so that his movements would become jerky, awkward, and unnatural, like those of a sick, constantly nervous man. Phoenix is known for his profound improvisations and for creating scenes completely off-script, working on his voice, those uncontrollable, painful facial expressions, and his gait was grueling. His laughter wasn't mere effect or parody, it was pain taken to its extreme limit, a cry from the depths of his soul that sent shivers through the audience. This psychological transformation earned him a well-deserved Oscar. Brendan Fraser, a triumphant return, and a deeply emotional transformation that became one of the most moving moments in cinema. That's Brendan Fraser in 2022's The Whale. Fraser, a star of 90s action adventures, returned to the big screen after a long hiatus to play Charlie, a morbidly obese teacher trapped in his apartment. Although the role required a complex prosthetic suit weighing nearly 300 pounds, the role itself was much more than just a disguise. The prosthetic was merely a tool to create a physical barrier. The key is his gaze, his vulnerability, and his ability to convey the despair, loneliness, and inner light of a man trying to atone for his guilt before death. His personal story added weight to his performance. He didn't just put on a suit, he lived through its loneliness, and Hollywood welcomed him back into its arms, awarding him a statuette. Gary Oldman. Now we move on to The Craft, where an actor disappears behind layers of makeup while still retaining the character's humanity and soul. Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill in the 2017 film Darkest Hour is a textbook example of how makeup can become an extension of talent. Oldman, known for his chameleon-like nature, outdid himself here. Every day he had makeup applied, which weighed over 10 kilograms and took up to 4 hours. He even wore a special suit to add fullness. But the result was worth it. He didn't just look like Churchill, he moved, spoke, and even breathed like Churchill, adopting all of his unique mannerisms and diction. This allowed him to psychologically disappear into the character. He didn't just play a politician, he resurrected the ghost of the past, creating a living, breathing portrait of a great leader. Colin Farrell, perhaps the most shocking example of recent years, is Colin Farrell as Oswald the Penguin, Cobblepot, in the 2022 film Batman. Farrell, usually associated with the image of a romantic hero, became so unrecognizable that even the crew members he had worked with for years didn't recognize him on set. It was a complete disguise. Complex latex makeup left him plump, bald, scarred, and distorted. But this makeup, paradoxically, allowed Farrell to completely break free from his previous Hollywood image and find freedom in his movements, voice, and demeanor. When an actor loses himself in the face of a criminal, it's not just a role, it's an experiment, proving the power of makeup and the artist's courage. Tilda Swinton is a master not only of makeup, but also of secrecy. In the 2018 film Suspiria, she performed a triple transformation, playing 3 roles, one of which was completely hidden from the public. Swinton secretly played the octogenarian Dr. Klemperer, using complex prosthetic makeup that transformed her beyond recognition, making her believe in the existence of an actor named Lutz Ebersdorf. It was a brilliant cinematic prank that lasted until the film's release. Her ability to assume any appearance, any form, is a hallmark of the highest acting skill, unrelated to gender or age. She doesn't play characters, she literally becomes them, proving that art has no gender or physical boundaries. Eddie Murphy revolutionized comedic transformation, demonstrating that makeup artistry could be the highest form of comedic performance. In the 1996 film The Nutty Professor, he took on up to 7 roles, including Professor Sherman Klump and all of his eccentric relatives. Murphy didn't just change faces, he created unique voices, walks, and mannerisms for each family member. This was more than makeup, it was creating an entire one-man comedy ensemble, allowing them to improvise and interact with themselves within a single scene. The challenge was maintaining the distinctiveness of each character despite layers of latex. He didn't just change faces, he inhabited an entire film as himself, proving that comedy can be the pinnacle of makeup and acting talent. Robin Williams, in Mrs. Doubtfire, 1993, created one of his most beloved and touching roles, hiding behind layers of makeup. The role of the elderly, stern but loving nanny, which required 4.5 hours of makeup application, was rooted in his character's immense love and kindness for children. To determine how realistic the character was, Williams would take to the streets of San Francisco, dressed as Doubtfire, to test people's reactions and refine the look. His goal wasn't to deceive, but to create a beloved character who could be there for her children. His transformations always stemmed from kindness and heart, not from a gimmick, and this made his nanny immortal and deeply beloved. Bill Skarsgard, as Pennywise in the 2017 and 2019 films. It is the perfect blend of terrifying makeup and profound psychological work. While clown makeup is terrifying enough, Skarsgard added something unique that couldn't be faked. His signature smile, which he could create using only his facial muscles, was frightening and completely unnatural. His work on his voice, his movements, and that eerie, constantly squinting gaze made the clown not just a monster, but the embodiment of pure, primal evil. Skarsgard deliberately isolated himself on set so that his sudden appearance would truly shock his young co-stars. He proved that horror begins not with makeup, but with the eyes and psychology. He was the creepiest clown of our generation. Heath Ledger as the Joker in The Dark Knight 2008 is perhaps the most iconic, most radical, and most tragic transformation in cinema history. Ledger didn't just play a villain, he created a manifesto for anarchy. He locked himself in a hotel room for weeks, keeping a journal where he recorded all his thoughts on chaos, trying to find not only the voice, but also the mannerisms of his character. This immersion was so total that it is rumored to have affected his mental health. He didn't feign madness, he lived someone else's madness, and his Joker forever changed the standards of film villainy, reaching an unattainable pinnacle. Natalie Portman in Black Swan, 2010, showed how physical and psychological pain can merge into pure art. For the role of ballerina Nina Sayers, Portman exhausted herself with months of training, up to 8 hours a day, losing weight and pushing herself to the physical limit. Her character, suffering from perfectionism and repressed sexuality, gradually descends into madness, blending reality and illusion, and Portman brilliantly conveyed this fragility and growing hysteria. Her dance is more than just movement. It is a metaphor for inner self-destruction, perfected. Her dance became the point where pure art and self-destruction meet in a single, flawless performance. Daniel Day-Lewis isn't an actor, he's a methodologist who completely disappears into his roles, blurring the boundaries between himself and the character. His performance as Daniel Plainview in the 2007 film There Will Be Blood is a model of total, inhuman immersion. Day-Lewis is known for his method. He lives in character for months, even offset to preserve the character's accent, mannerisms, gait, and psychology. For this role, he spent months working with authentic instruments to understand what it meant to be a man of the oil boom era. He believed so strongly in the reality of his character that he barely interacted with his colleagues outside of character, remaining the stern and grim Plainview. He's not an actor, he's a man of the era, obsessed with his craft, and each of his roles is the reincarnation of a historical figure he deserves. Robert Pattinson, this is an image transformation that required unprecedented effort and patience. Robert Pattinson is the actor who made the most incredible escape from the star cage. Having become a superstar against his will, Pattinson consciously abandoned the blockbusters that had become his curse and embraced independent, auteur-driven, often strange and dark cinema. He sought out challenging, uncomfortable roles to shed the image of vampire Edward Cullen. His choice of Batman became the final act of redemption, when he was able to regain his respect and become the face of a new, serious cinema. He proved that the most serious and dark artists of their generation are born from memes about a young vampire. Robert Downey Jr. is a story of triumph, transformation, and rebirth. His career has been a journey from chaos, scandal, and downfall to a complete renaissance as Tony Stark. But his true transformation occurred in 2023 with Oppenheimer, in which he played not a superhero, but the complex, caustic, and envious politician Louis Strauss. This was a complete rejection of Iron Man's familiar, easy charm in favor of strict, cold-blooded calculation and inner struggle. Downey Jr. demonstrated that even after a decade as a superhero, one can find the strength to deliver profound, Oscar-winning dramatic work. From chaos, legends are born, and from a superhero suit, great dramatic actors. He is living proof. Jim Carrey is the actor who achieved the greatest genre transformation, proving that his talent goes beyond exaggerated facial expressions. He was the king of grotesque comedy, the face of the 90s. But his role in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004, showed the world that behind the mask of hyperactive comedian lies a subtle, profound dramatic talent. His performance was restrained, melancholy, deeply human, and vulnerable. It was a risk that paid off. He proved that laughter and tears often spring from the same source, a deep understanding of human pain. When the funniest man on the planet makes you cry and empathize, that is the true, greatest acting transformation. Conclusion: we saw more than just roles. We saw stories of unprecedented sacrifice, obsession, and fearlessness. From Bale refusing to eat, to Ledger descending into madness, to Farrell disappearing behind makeup. These actors don't just act, they lose themselves. They break the boundaries of their bodies and minds so that we believe their truth, even if only for a moment. These aren't just roles, they're reincarnations. It's these transformations that remind us why cinema still works like magic. giving us a glimpse into the most incredible corners of the human soul, proving that art requires sacrifice, and that these sacrifices are priceless. Whose transformation did you find the most shocking and profound? Share in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next tier list. See you soon.